they're all going to pretend like they're in control or like this is their win or that they're in charge when actually they're all being held hostage by voters who hate them now. And when they're up for re-election, they're going to get primaried. They're just going to throw you guys out. Like, they hate you. You have empowered all of the people who hate you now. So I hope you feel great about it.
Hey guys, it's JVL. We recorded The Next Level last night, and we did a whole thing about Sarah's big New York Times Deal Book conference, and we weren't sure whether or not the Times was gonna release it, and then it turns out this morning they did release it. So you can now hear Sarah's heroic effort on the New York Times Deal Book. So we had to go and do some surgery on the show and cut that section where we were like thinking about whether or not this thing would happen out of it. So no candy for you. Sorry. Here's the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Next Level. I'm JVL here with my best friends, Sarah Longwell and Tim Miller of the Bulwark. We are taping this.
You are lucky we're best friends. You're lucky we're best friends because I'm fucking getting sick of you right now. Just had enough.
We all had to have a fight in the green room
JVL
before we went
is
on.
riling me up.
We are taping this at night, which is why we're a little bit loosey-goosey. Normally, this is an 11 a.m. taping. We're doing it in the evening.
When we're super serious, you know?
And
all locked up. We
have just gotten word that Kimberly Guilfoyle has been written out of season 5. And her storyline ends with her being given an ambassadorship to Greece so that there's no messy breakup with her and DJ TJ. And I there's so much happening in this one little story. But I will say that if you go onto the internet, you can find a picture of Gavin Newsom, Kimberly Guilfoyle, and Kamala Harris in a soup kitchen together. And it is like seeing the prequel from the Star Wars movie or something, like seeing like the little baby Anakin Skywalker. And what a ride we've all been on together.
I just got to say, I'm sad. I mean, if those two kids can't make it, Kim and Don Jr., America's sweethearts, just two fun-loving people trying to do their best in this fucking terrible world of ours, you know, spinning around the sun. If they can't, what hope is there for the rest of us? Don Jr. and Kim, I thought from the start that looked like two people that just, it was love. I thought there was nothing else there that was maybe
Sarah,
personal.
I need you to help me, Sarah.
Trying to take advantage of each other.
Because I get this sense that giving an ambassadorship to your son's almost ex-girlfriend in order to get her out of the picture is the kind of scandal that would have undone the George H.W. Bush administration.
Are you sure?
And that had this happened on December 10th.
Would Hunter DeButts have been involved in this?
1988. Then this would have been like Newsweek and Time and the New York Times would have all led the papers and the magazines the next day.
So in this alternate history, Columba is sent back to Mexico so that Jeb could start dating another woman. Is that what you're putting forth?
No, I'm just saying that like once upon a time, this would have been a really big deal and nobody's even going to bat.
I don't think that's true. I don't think this would have been a big deal.
I also don't think that's true.
People cared about Billy Bush. This is absolutely, this would have been a big deal. This is using the United States government to do relationship favors. No, not that Billy Bush. I'm sorry, Billy Bush. I meant Billy Carter.
And now I don't even know who you're talking about. Anyway, at least I was with you on Billy Bush.
Whatever. We got to move on.
No, we do not have to move on.
You didn't even ask me. I have six
so
words.
This isn't a big
JVL.
deal? Like, it's like, yeah, whatever.
I mean, it's very funny.
Yeah.
And I think that we should spend more time laughing about it. I think that would start there. But go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah. I have 6 words for you. Do you know what they are?
No.
The best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come. I don't think you got to worry about these.
The best is yet to come on this podcast.
I'm going to use this inane jumping off point to express something sincere that I have been thinking about a lot, which about why nothing matters, that I don't think we're discussing enough. And I was telling our editor or our political, I was telling Sam.
Please, managing editor is this title.
Managing editor.
I'm the editor. I'm sitting right here.
I was telling our managing
I feel like
editor.
Al Haig. I'm in charge here.
I was saying to him, I feel like people are not talking enough about the fact that Donald Trump is a lame duck. And that is sitting over everything right now. Yeah, stop with your 2028. Yeah, well, there's the reason. The reason he teases 2028 is because actually being a lame duck president is a huge problem, right? So right now, this is why I'm sort of belatedly realizing that this is what a lot of the vibes are about. Why aren't people, why aren't they consumed by all of the things that are going on? And I think a lot of it is what are you going to do? Guy's got 4 years, including Republicans. And it is a question of he's not going to get reelected, right? That's why the resistance, and I mean the hashtag resistance, I think has sort of no steam. Now, some of it is because there's recriminations to do and there's, everybody's sorting out what just happened. But a lot of it is just this guy's got a year of juice. After 2026, we're all looking at the Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, Tucker Carlson primary of 2028. And I think the lame duckness matters. And I think it's just a reason why people can't sort of find all the reasons to get upset about all this.
Well, I have a couple thoughts on that. I'm going to be getting upset about everything, so I'll be doing that on behalf of everybody. Your serious point, though, does tie back to the topic that I wasn't ready to get rid of yet, which was Don Jr. and Kimberly. There was a poll out yesterday. It was a 2028 primary poll. I don't know if you saw this. Neck and neck, 30% to 30%, Donald Trump Jr. versus J.D. Vance, the two leaders. So our man, Trump could be moving Kimberly out of the picture here also as he tries to decide whether his VP or his son might be the chosen one, which I think also limits the lame duckness of him if he's the one who's getting to Don, the next nominee. I think we should also just talk for a second, just because our listeners are here for the fun stuff on the Next Level podcast. You gave them the just pain on the Focus Group podcast. They're here for fun on the Next Level podcast.
Did you watch that show,
Bettina Anderson. I can't. I made it partway through. Bettina Anderson, the gal that Don Jr. is now dating, his
Wait, did they legit break up?
Yeah. Don, this is what I wanted to get back to. I didn't want to just run right through this. Bettina Anderson, Don Jr. was kissing her at a brunch recently. Bettina is a Palm Beach socialite. A couple other things about her that might be of interest.
Unlike Kimberly Guilfoyle, who is what is her job exactly? Ex of Gavin Newsom, which, by the way, the Don Jr. Gavin Newsom 2028, presidential
is what we deserve. Guilfoyle was a commentator, a political analyst, quite successful, a midday political commentator on Fox News. And so
was she on Fox, really?
Yeah. It's probably about the 20th Fox News host who's now been appointed into the administration now that she's heading off to Greece. But back to Bettina. Some of the past folks she's been dating, Ken Griffin. You might know Ken Griffin as a major donor of moderate of the remaining establishment Republicans. Chewing gum heir William Bo Wrigley Jr. and is that the way? No, these are two different people. Sorry, I thought it was William Bo Wrigley Jr. Anderson, and I was like, that's a name for a rich guy. But no, William Bo Wrigley and then Jr. Anderson. So she's dates a bunch of rich guys, and now she's dating Don Trump Jr. But I don't want to make any aspersions though on Don Jr. or on Bettina or on Kim. I think that these are just earnest romances. They have nothing to do with access to power or money or any of that. These are just people that want to find love in a heartless world.
All right, before we move on, I just want to say one more thing. regarding your assertion that he's a lame duck, I would like to see a Democratic senator at every single confirmation hearing ask the Trump appointee just one question. Can Donald Trump run for president in 2028? Just yes or no. Because I bet the percentage
or vice
of
president.
Trump,
I'd throw vice president in there. President or vice president.
I bet the percentage of Trump nominees who would be willing to say out loud no approaches zero asymptotically.
What was the word you just used?
Asymptotically. It's a math.
I love that word. Asymptotically. I just like saying it.
They are
but you read Sonny Bunch.
anatomically. Yeah. Okay.
The other thing that happened, just I'm sorry, we got to go a little hot on this. Right before we came on, President-elect Donald Trump issued the following via Truth Social. Any person or company investing, all caps, $1 billion or more
$1 billion
in the United States of America will receive fully expedited approvals and permits, including but in no way limited to all environmental approvals. Get ready to rock. Is that a law? Is that official policy now? How much of the billion, how does the $1 billion have to be invested? Who's counting that? What is the application process?
I have two initial thoughts. One, fast tracking some of these projects, I'd be for. So I'll throw that out there. But what that reads to me is Elon Musk, the top donor to my campaign and informal advisor. You no longer have to go through environmental approval process to build stuff. That's what that reads to me. That's just Elon
But I'm also
Musk.
I'm going to announce it on my competitor fake website too. There's so many layers.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be a stick in the mud here, but how does that work? Right? I mean, the government you can't govern by writing shit on a Post-it note. Right? I mean, something has to be written. It has to be approved. Is this a law? Is this executive order? Is this going to stand up to legal scrutiny?
Do you guys remember that show, Jersey Shore? There was I didn't really watch this show, but I somehow caught an episode one time on MTV, and there was the guy who's called The Situation.
Hey, we got a situation here.
It was about his abs, yeah.
Yeah.
He remembered there was a big fight, but there was a piece of paper, and they kept saying it must be true. It's written down on this piece of paper. They all believed it because it was written down on the piece of paper, which I thought was a fascinating study into if you take the time to write it down, it must be true. So there you go.
JVL, I hate to do this to you, but I think you're breaking JVL's law right now.
Yes, I am. But I'm doing it on the podcast, not in print.
Okay, that's allowed.
So for me, what I'm trying to do...
that's an important correction, though, because I had a commenter tell me that I was breaking JVL's law on a podcast recently. So I'm glad to know that there's a podcast exemption. Sarah doesn't read your newsletter. So JVL's law is that we're going to focus on things that Trump does rather than things he says he's going to do.
Yes.
I think that's a good rule. I think that's good. Sometimes it's hard to follow, but it's a good guidepost.
Writing is a permanent form of communication.
Yeah.
Podcasting is ephemeral, and I feel like we need to be able to talk about these things.
It's not that ephemeral if people are texting about what I'm saying on the podcast.
Okay. That's enough. You settle down. Our first sponsor is GhostBed. Whether you're climbing higher, achieving more, or simply recharging for your next breakthrough, great sleep sets the stage for everything. That's why GhostBed is the go-to mattress for those who want to live at the next level. Get it? The next level. For over 20 years, GhostBed has crafted mattresses that cater to every kind of sleeper, backside, or somewhere in between. GhostBed has you covered. We highly recommend the GhostBed Luxe. It's perfect for hot sleepers thanks to its advanced cooling technology. For those who need that perfect blend of support and softness, the GhostBed Flex combines memory foam and coils to deliver just that. This holiday season, give the gift of better sleep to yourself or someone you care about. With GhostBed's easy mattress quiz, fast free shipping, and 101 night sleep trial, finding the perfect mattress has never been easier or more rewarding. And here's something to elevate your rest. Next Level listeners get an exclusive deal, 50% off site-wide. Visit ghostbed.com/thenextlevel and use code THENEXTLEVEL at checkout to claim your discount. Don't let restless nights keep you from achieving greatness this holiday season. Upgrade to GhostBed today and experience sleep that helps you perform at your best. Head to ghostbed.com/thenextlevel and use code THENEXTLEVEL now to unlock your exclusive 50% off deal. So Joni Ernst.
Principles.
Having some second thoughts about Pete Hegseth. She's looking forward to supporting him through this process.
It's a good quote.
Here's what I would say is something has kicked in. The MAGA folks, after Gates went down and Hegseth started a fight, they decided we cannot let the swamp beat our people. And they've started fighting back. And I think they have been going at Joni Ernst like Lindsey Graham in an airport post January 6th. They are after her hard. And that is, this is where sort of the menace of the MAGA mob goes to do its persuasion work. Which is, I think, what's happening to Joni Ernst. Now, Joni Ernst, it's interesting to me how these conventional wisdom forms that, like, Joni Ernst is the person to decide about Pete Hegseth. Because as best I can tell, there are still plenty of senators who think he might not be fit to run the Pentagon.
She was the human shield for all of them.
Yes, that's right.
Because all the guys, the Mike Roundses of the world and the John Hovins, people you forget are in the Senate that would prefer to not have him. They don't have a rationale. Like, they can't just go out and say, well, we can't have the Fox and Friends host in the Pentagon, right? Because that would create some blowback. And so they're like, oh, great, we have this.
Or insane. It's just an insane on its face.
Yeah, we have this human shield. We can use Joni because she has a sexual assault background and has cared about that in the military and cares about this issue. And so she has a good rationale, right? Like, the MAGA people can't get upset at her, right? I mean, this guy's accused of sexual assault. That is experience that she had to suffer through. That's trauma. Nobody could get mad at her. Wrong. MAGA people don't give a fuck about Joni Ernst and what happened to her.
Nope.
They could not care less. Okay? So they thought that Joni Ernst was going to be a human shield for all of them. And that it's going to be like, oh, wait, all right, the three ladies, they'll do our dirty work on this one. Susan and Lisa and Joni. And then maybe Mitch will sneak in if he can get up off the ground and kind of twist the knife. And all the rest of us can be like, no, we don't have to take any heat over this. Wrong. But the problem is, MAGA people, that they didn't buy that. And so that little cover plan didn't work. And so Joni was taking it on the chin. And I think, as I've said a couple times, I was in Iowa this weekend talking to Republican strategists, and you couldn't find one that thought Joni was going to hold the line on this. All right. The Mark Caputo quote from his article today on thebulwark.com. How do I make this go away? A flabbergasted Ernst said to an intermediary. How do I make this go away? She was getting heat.
Joni Ernst, United States Senator, one time considered to be one of the party's rising stars, is now terrified of Charlie effing Kirk.
Yeah.
There it is.
And also Joni Ernst, by the way, like I mean, not probably the top person I would say that I would go for leading the Department of Defense, but a plausible actual Secretary of Defense, a senator,
yes.
a veteran.
Be fine.
You know what I mean?
Should be fine.
And so that is another kind of sort of thing here, like where she's over there going, well, then that's the job I'm never going to get if I am the one that takes down Hegseth. Like, Trump's not going to go to me. I'm not the second choice.
Do you think that she could be gone to as a plan B or plan C, even if she does go along on this?
At this point, probably not.
Doesn't
seem reliable.
Once the mob has put their eye on you, you're marked.
Yeah, she's a rhino. And
you're already
swamp,
a rhino, right? The fact if Charlie Kirk has to threaten you, then you're already. This is what you see in all purges, right? You're already unreliable.
Yeah. It's just worth going back. I did it a little tongue in cheek, but seriously, because I just pulled it up. What was her original quote about this? I am a survivor of sexual assault, and we need a thorough vetting of Hegseth. Like that, you would think that would have been like, okay. All right, well, let's just, we'll vet her, and she has credibility on this. She went through this, and this is, and she's on the Armed Services Committee and a veteran, and a thorough vetting process.
But she spoke to him a second time.
Worthwhile.
And, that second conversation really won her over. I guess
They don't notice in the statement. He does mention she does gain a concession, right? Which is that Pete Hegseth says that people will be judged by the content of their character instead of their vagina parts, or he doesn't like really say women in the military are cool, but he sort of he half backs off of it. That said, there was nothing in the statement about how Pete Hegseth assuaged her concerns about whether he in fact committed sexual assault. There was nothing in there about that. I would know.
But what about these boys? What about Mitch? What about anybody serious? And let me actually say it. You know what? That's actually not even a useful exercise. Let's go into a different thing, because I think about this a lot now. A question that we've been wrestling with on the show. Question that I'm wrestling with personally. Do we just want to let Pete Hegseth run the Pentagon? I don't. Actually, I'm pretty sure about this one. Like, I'm fine with DeSantis. So, like, do we?
I don't.
Yeah, I don't. But JVL, since you are sort of like, give it to him good and hard. Like, should we be encouraging more Republican senators to stand up and do something? Because, and by stand up and do something, I mean in the dark before an actual hearing.
Yeah. Before
they have to put their name on it, like. What do you do? Because listen, if this was just hold on. If this was the first term, we'd be there'd be all kinds of people trying to get these people knocked out. We'd be like, you can't do this. And at this time, like, do you mount an effort to really try to get responsible? I mean, Lankford, where's Lankford on this?
Who?
Where is Mike Rounds? There's a whole, and so. Do we let them get away with it, or do we go bananas over all these guys?
I mean, we don't have any agency whatsoever.
We have agency. We may not have influence, but we have agency.
Tomato, tomato. But I think in terms of what do we think would be the best outcome for America, I think it would be defeating the Hegseth nomination. I mean, my like, let's give it to them good and hard, but there are boundaries on that. Yeah. So things like, the rule of law is a hill you have to die on. Having a guy like Gates at Justice, or Kash Patel at the FBI, or Hegseth in the DOD, where his job is going to be to get rid of disloyal generals and general officers. Those things are hills you should die on, my view. Right. Let Bobby Kennedy run HHS and let a bunch of kids in Alabama get polio, I guess. Like, it's not my preference, but whatever. That's not a hill I would die on.
It won't be isolated to Alabama.
The tariffs.
And some state that you
tariffs.
I'm not going to die on the hill of tariffs, right? But
no, people get the tariffs.
The power ministries, I think the power ministry, I mean, if what you care about is preserving the chance
you
to
or Bill who started
democracy.
Using power ministries first, because I've never heard of them called as the power ministries before now, and you and Bill are both using that. Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's a thing. I mean, I don't know. Like Bill and I started talking about this stuff weeks ago.
Yeah.
So you're hearing both of us.
No. I'm just confused. Again, going back to your George H.W. Bush era, I don't like. They're like, we gotta watch out for the power ministries.
Well, no, but that's because that's a thing that you get like in failing democracies, right? In failing democracies, as the democracies are teetering, you figure out where are the levers of power within the government for the people who are trying to topple it, and that is what we're seeing. I mean, that's where we are right now. We think. Yeah. As you said, maybe the president just wants to eat a bunch of cheeseburgers and golf and get to say he's in charge. He doesn't care about any of this stuff. And so long as he and Elon and David Sachs can make themselves even richer, they'll all be happy. And that's the best case scenario. Just massive corruption, I think.
Yeah,
right?
Which I do think that the corruption, actually, just while we're on this, because I do have a theory about where they're going to try to mess with people, right? So Donald Trump goes on TV this weekend, talks about how Liz Cheney should be in jail, the January 6th stuff. Caputo made this point on the forthcoming episode of the Focus Group, and it's a really good one, and it has shifted, or it's shaped a little bit how I'm thinking about what I think they're going to do. Because I have really started to think about the lame duckness and the fact that these guys are going to look for opportunities to line their pockets as quickly as possible because this is like a one-time, the locks broke on the candy store. Let's go, get it all. But Caputo was saying that the people who are really mad, and this is where Kash Patel comes in, are the people who had to lawyer up as sort of collateral damage. And there's not Mark Caputo, but Michael Caputo, who's a bad guy, has no relation, but has a piece that sort of lays this out, right? That all of the Mark Meadows, chief of staff, Meadows, and like everybody who ended up kind of going, whether it cost them lots of money, disrupted their lives, it was stressful for them because they didn't know they were all going to be back in power, so they thought they might really be going to jail. And, there was for a bit there the illusion of accountability. And so they want to turn that around on Liz Cheney and Adam. Like, they do want to go after the January 6th people. It's funny. I think there's so many people who think there's going to be this sweeping sort of sense of retribution, but I bet it is much more isolated to the people in this tit for tat, angry, these are the ones who caused us real agita. And I think the rest of it is about, like, Elon's trying to he loves these, even though they're not on his platform, he loves these little bleats about no more worrying about the environment. Like, if you got a big project, just go crazy. And drill, baby, drill. Like, that's what people... I do think that's how people are doing. This is why it's so transactional right now, right? Everybody's trying
oil production is at the highest level it's ever been in American history.
You got to think
Joe
about
Biden.
The crypto guys, though.
Guys.
Drill, baby, drill includes mining for Bitcoin.
Yeah. Right.
You got to mine, baby, mine.
Well, that. I mean, I actually think crypto is a huge part of this. That there are a bunch of people, because crypto is a gigantic scam.
Yeah, right.
Basically. And there are a bunch of people who are going to be able to use the next couple of years to have an enormous wealth transfer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
People already have.
Who
Imagine
have
if you imagine if you own Doge coins or any of that stuff right now. You've basically secured your financial future just by Trump getting elected.
Yes.
Yeah. Think about Andreessen. Andreessen, one of the seed investors of the Free Press, was interviewed on the Free Press today about
was it hard hitting?
It was about how he's advising the incoming president-elect. So a lot of challenging questions about the speaking truth to power. But Andreessen's exposure on crypto is like unbelievable. Like the amount of money that they had put in. I mean, he's going to be a gazillionaire regardless, but even still, gazillionaires like him like to have more gazillions. And so, in a hypothetical Harris administration, where you have Gary Gensler, you have all these new rules, there's all this uncertainty. Like, this is the opposite of that. Now it's like fucking Vegas, baby. Cut to end all. And so they are going to be able to jack up their valuations and prepare for, and I think in their minds probably stabilize and make permanent the crypto Bitcoin, financial ecosystem. But even if that doesn't come to pass, certainly, give themselves a lot more runway to build up wealth and to prepare for what might come after.
And this is another area where I am all for letting people have what they want. If you are a mouth breather in some holler in Kentucky, and you think that you're going to be able to get rich by being the last guy into whatever the latest shitcoin is, that some MAGA grifter has set up. Yeah, Hogtua. Then you know what? I say let those people. Let's have that wealth transfer. I don't give a crap. I don't think anybody should spend any time fighting against that stuff.
I don't think people will. I mean, this is where I do think people kind of lay down for the corruption, because the corruption tends to be sort of the best case scenario.
The show is also sponsored by Lumen, the world's first handheld metabolic coach. Lumen is a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workout, sleep, and even stress management. Here's how it works. All you got to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Then Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals, so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. And Lumen will give you tips to keep you on top of your health game. Metabolism is the body's engine. It's at the center of everything your body does. Optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, better sleep, etc. I've been going back to the gym, guys. I don't know if you knew that. I've been going to that class called Snatched. I'm trying to get snatched. You know, we'll still see how it's going, but it is nice to know what I'm supposed to eat afterwards, because I have no idea. I haven't had a workout regimen in a while now. I'm just usually sitting up here in my box talking to you guys. So we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you posted. But Lumen has continued to help me understand what type of nutrition I need so I can keep my energy level up after snatch class, or even staying up late to talk about Donald Trump on TV during the 11th hour with Stephanie Ruhle, which apparently I still have to do. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/thenextlevel to get 15% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/thenextlevel for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode.
I want to go back to Joni Ernst for 1 second, and I want to use it to say something about Kevin McCarthy. What, Tim? Did you need to say something about that?
We could just leave it for another time. Andreessen's other interest is AI. I have a little bit of a question about the deregulation of AI over the course of the next 4 years and that potential faults. I might feel a little differently about that than about crypto. So whatever. We can do that another day. I'm sorry. I just think it's worth mentioning. Go ahead. Go back to Joni.
So one of the things about these Republican politicians who are getting sort of they sort of feel like they are. They're in control, right? They're in the majority, and Trump won. And so, there's Joni Ernst thinks she's got.
Do you feel in control?
Yeah. Does she think she's got some power? But one of the things that really struck me about Kevin McCarthy up close with his sort of preening, smug way of being is that in addition to the things I did say, there's obviously, I spent the next day thinking about all the things I wish that I had said. And one of them was, he was kind of dancing on Matt Gaetz's metaphorical grave. But he didn't seem at all to be reckoning with the fact that these people chased him out. Like the voters that he's all amped up about, who are sort of part of the Trump cult, they hate Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah.
They empowered Matt Gaetz to go get him, and he lost his job. He was a speaker for not that long, and when he was speaker, they humiliated him on his way in, and then he got humiliated on the way out. And so, it's funny how much, so she's gonna bow down to these guys. She's gonna get Lindsey Graham, and they're all gonna pretend like they're in control, or like this is their win, or that they're in charge, when actually they're all being held hostage by voters who hate them now. And when they're up for re-election, they're going to get primaried. Tom Tillis. I'm watching Tom Tillis down in North Carolina just absolutely cave for Trump, because he doesn't want a primary, because they're threatening to primary him. And I just want to say, they're just going to throw you guys out. They hate you. You have empowered all of the people who hate you now. So I hope you feel great about it.
Trump, his understanding of weakness is so impressive. Trump looked at all of these people and he knew how weak they were. And nobody else did, right? Everybody's like, the iron... Mitch McConnell, the great tactician who is unbending.
Cocaine Mitch. Tough guy.
And Trump looked at these guys and said, Sebastian, you'll have to bleep this. You're a bunch of And he was right. I'll always respect him for that.
Yeah, and I have a hard time even hating on Joni Ernst about it because she was just being a meat shield for a bunch of cowardly dudes who love to talk a big game about manliness.
Yeah. There was a buzz. There was some gossip going around that there were like 10 senators initially that didn't want Pete.
Yeah, I remember that.
You know? And I was like, okay, yeah, let's see it. Let's
All right,
see it. Let's
give me your
count.
Odds that he gets confirmed.
I think Pete is, I would say, it's funny, those stupid markets. The poly market, he got down to, I think, 12% at one point. These markets don't know anything. All the market bros are going around talking about the election. They're like, it was 62-38 for Trump. The Holly market is smarter than polls. And it's just like, this is all just fucking luck and randomness. So it got down to 12. I think I'd put it at like 85. I mean, like 80, 85. I would say this. There's another 5 weeks. And I just don't. I think that it's likely that the woman that Pete had the debated encounter with will testify. Not guaranteed, but I think it's likely that we'll hear from her. I think it's almost certain that there are other similar instances that Pete has engaged in. Other women. I mean, the mom's email was like women plural. The mom's email was like not like talking about one, and the people at the nonprofits might go. So I'm just saying like other things could come up that make it unsustainable. I guess is like to me it's 100% to me with all things staying equal. But I think there's 5 weeks, which is why I caveat it.
Let me provide the opposite case, though. Okay. Sarah, you tell me whether this is crazy or not. With Gates, the problem was that Gates was essentially trapped negotiating against himself, right? Like the Gates thing was, well, here's this guy and nobody likes him. With Hegseth, there is now an opposition force, and the opposition force is like the media and libs and stuff, which changes the imperative for Republicans because you can't let you've got to own the libs.
Yeah.
And so bailing on Hegseth now isn't really just about Hegseth. It's about giving whoever, like, the media or women who've been sexually assaulted a win. And he can't do that, right? That's why his stupid Brett Kavanaugh impersonation when he, started lecturing the media.
Kavanaugh'd.
Yeah, I don't answer to any of you people. I answer to the 50, right? That was very deft and very smart because that set up an oppositional dynamic in which it was not Pete Hegseth against Pete Hegseth, but Pete Hegseth against the media. And what Republican is going to take sides again, with the media?
Can I just say one problem with the Kavanaugh comparison?
Yeah.
Regardless of what you think about the allegations, the personal lives of either men, Brett Kavanaugh was like a widely regarded judge of where people, independent-minded legal analysts said that he wrote smart opinions and whatnot.
He did work in the law.
He did work in the law.
I mean,
Pete Hegseth is
he was
a
an
TV
actual
host.
lawyer. Right.
I've also had this thought about Kavanaugh, this idea of like, none of us know what happened. And even if, and I remember at the time watching his hearing and being like, you don't quite seem temperamentally, fit for this, regardless of what happened, just the way that you're handling this. But he was qualified. Like he was a judge who's qualified to do the thing. Pete Hegseth is both unqualified as well as clearly morally and ethically unfit. And so he's all the things. I will say, just to go on to what JVL was just talking about, I can't remember if it's in Band of Brothers or if it's just an aphorism about war, but there's a saying that, if you can survive the first 24 hours, you have like an 80% chance survival rate. Because if you don't get killed right away when you don't know anything, right? Or if you survive the first 72 hours, but there's something about, if you can sort of just make it through the beginning, you can figure out how to stay alive. And I do think that's a little bit what he's done. And not only that, he's upped the price of attacking him now, right? He has shown that, Joni Ernst is supposed to have the credibility to go after him, and she got hounded down. So when you say this woman's ready to testify, right, there's a point at which you are adding fuel to a fire when you think this guy's going down. There's another thing when you think, boy, the opposition's rallied. He's probably going to get through. Do I do this? Right. And I think that he is right now been able to turn this thing. I am with Tim, though. Like, if there's some other things out there that there are part of what you're seeing when you're seeing all this stuff come out. It's not an accident. Right. Because Trump's not vetting people, actually. Somebody is doing oppo research to try to give cover to the senators who don't want to confirm him. And so the question is did they unload everything they had right away? Or is there more? Like, is somebody going to commit to going and getting the rest of it?
I think some of it is oppo. I think some of it is that Pete Hegseth is resoundingly loathed by most of the people who have worked with him. And
not Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly also, I mean, sometimes it is like living in an alternative universe where Megyn Kelly was the centerpiece of a movie about the culture of sexual harassment at Fox News. And here she is, like, playing defender of Pete Hegseth. Come on my show. I'll let you just say whatever you want. What?
Before we move on for this, I just want to say, even if Pete Hegseth was a great guy, even if he was universally admired and very well regarded, his nomination to be Secretary of Defense would still be the most preposterous major cabinet nomination in the history of our country.
Since
because
Matt
he's a
Gaetz.
fucking part-time weekend TV host.
Yeah.
And so this isn't even real. The fact that we are having this debate about, well, is there enough scandal to taint him and disqualify? It's gobsmacking. All right. Do we want to talk about Syria? Literally nobody cares about Syria, right?
I care.
I care.
Okay.
Michael Weiss
well, then
cares.
let's do it. Talk to me about Syria.
I just
Sarah,
have one
go.
observation I made.
Tim, go.
Susan Glasser kind of dismissed this with prejudice a little bit today. It was towards the end of the pod, so we didn't have time to hash it out. But I think that this is. I think it is. There's an interesting thing to be said. I think you'll like this, JVL, about our current political state, which is that the Biden administration, for all its flaws, which there are myriad, and for all the foreign policy mistakes, for which there are quite a few, is in this really shit situation where you're dealing with Putin and, the malign influence of Iran growing, the terrorists in Gaza attacking Israel. Like, you're dealing with all of this that was not really of your own making. And they come up with a strategy that prevents any U.S. troops really from being over there. There were some U.S. troop assistance in the Middle East, but any meaningful boots on the ground. And where you can support Ukraine with internal domestic foes trying to undermine you, where you support Israel with people in your own party trying to undermine you.
As well as the Israeli government.
Right.
Trying to undermine you.
Yeah, okay. And though Ukraine and Israel get most of the credit here, still, you play a critical role in intelligence sharing and providing resources and providing support in both cases.
Unprecedented role.
Yeah. And as a result, Russia and Iran and all its proxies are so weakened that when this ragtag group of rebels from that have this kind of quasi support of Turkey and or whatever, they march on one city in Syria thinking they're going to take one city, and it's oh wait, the whole house of cards falls. We just took Damascus in 72 hours, whatever it was. And the reason why they were able to do that is because Syria's sponsors, Russia and Iran, have been so weakened by what happened in these other theaters, right? And it's Nobody wants to give the U.S. any credit for this or say this was a win, but including the president. But really, I mean, like, the Biden administration is not doing a victory lap. The Democrats on the Hill aren't saying, "Wow, what look at how much we've weakened our foes." Republicans sure as shit aren't giving them any credit, and it's like, this happened, and I mean. Maybe there are a few other people on niche foreign policy blogs that are praising them that I'm not aware of, but what am I missing here? Like, is there not any? We can't just have one cheer for Tony Blinken?
I'm gonna take this opportunity to annoy everybody and say this is basically how they approached passing infrastructure or passing. Like, this is the communication.
You're not wrong.
This is the communications that we've been dealing with the entire time. And there's a reason that nobody ever, that except for JVL, was saying that, Biden was a good president. And then, like, whatever, the weird quorum of people on Twitter who like to be like, Joe Biden would have won if it hadn't been for you darn kids telling him he had to go. You in the media, like, no, he was. But like, this has been how what is this communication strategy? Like,
it's
your
a
legacy,
strategy, not a communication strategy.
Well, sure, but his legacy's in tatters at the moment. It'd be like a cool thing for him to, where is he?
I mean, he's,
because I watched the thing in France, like what they were doing, and I'm just like, is Trump president already? Has he been sworn in? I could swear the Constitution says a thing about one president at a time. Why are world leaders all meeting with Donald Trump already?
It is astonishing to me that Biden allowed that he didn't go over and act as president. The extent to which it feels as though he pardoned Hunter and then is just abdicated is disappointing.
Yeah. Well, other people exist in the administration. I don't know.
No, it's true.
True. And maybe they're just doing interviews nobody's covering. I don't know. I don't have somebody at the State Department briefing, so maybe they've been bragging about it. But it's not great. It's not like, oh, the world is peaceful now and we've achieved Pax Americana Part 2 or whatever. But it's like, take the wins where you can get them.
This is why I wanted to talk about
smooth
it.
handoff.
It's an unmitigated good thing that happened in just a burning trash pile of bad news over the last international bad news over the last 18 months. This has been really good, and it does feel like we can't. Oh, did something good happen in the world? Well, no, we need to, go.
Good things can only happen when Donald Trump is in charge.
Civil war over, shooting healthcare CEOs. Like, that's what we're just going to destroy each other over. And we can't, nobody, like, at least let us be happy that Tulsi Gabbard is having a crappy day now that her boy Assad is living in Moscow.
I'm happy
Can we not be happy about that? Can we not celebrate that fact?
About that.
Notice how the days are shorter, but your to-do lists aren't? Power through your busy days with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. From breakfast to dinner and anything in between, Factor has easy, nutritious options to keep you fueled and feeling your best. Whether you like routine or you enjoy mixing things up, Factor has you covered with 35 different delicious meals every week and over 60 additional convenience options you can add to your box, like keto cookies, pressed juices, and smoothies. Don't let shorter days slow you down. Stay energized with America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service. Factor lets you do you. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well balanced. Because Factor's meals are chef prepared and dietitian approved, you're going to love not only how Factor's meals taste, but also how they support your goals. And check this out, Factor is cheaper than takeout and dining out. Put the money you save toward holiday shopping or reaching your financial goals. Find guilt-free comfort foods like home-style chicken and gravy and loaded mashed potatoes, pork chops, feel-good vegan options like sweet potato and chickpea curry, and globally inspired flavors like Peruvian shrimp and red pepper coulis grits. There's no sacrifice in quality for convenience with Factor. Weekly menus offer ways to treat yourself to a restaurant-like meal experience with gourmet plus dishes that feature premium proteins and seasonal sides like broccolini, leeks, and asparagus. How does truffle butter, filet mignon, or garlic arb roasted barramundi sound? Mouthwatering, right? Stay on your A-game with quality ingredients you can trust and quality you can taste in every one of Factor's fresh, never frozen meals. Use your time more efficiently. So important during these dark months. Let Factor take shopping, prepping, cooking, and cleaning up off your daily list of things to do, which is great because I hate all those things. And if you listen to us over on the George Conway Explains It All podcast, you know it's all that guy eats. And if you come to my office, it's all the guys in my office eat. There's just Factor boxes everywhere. So I can vouch for the fact that this is great. People love it. And it is an easy way to stay healthy and cook simple, great food. So head to factormeals.com/50th, the next level, and use code 50th, the next level, to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month. That's code 50, the next level, at factormeals.com/50, the next level, to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month.
We got to do 2 minutes on Luigi and the murder of the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson. So we've Tim, you've done your bit on this. I have written about this
people
today.
Haven't listened to my one sentence bit
literary way.
Yeah, people haven't listened to my one sentence bit is murder is still bad. Nothing good is achieved from vigilante murder, even if you don't like the person getting killed. And I do think this vindicates my decision not to join Blue Sky, because the reports out of Blue Sky are troubling as far as people's support for vigilante murder, which I am against. So that's I've given some longer remarks than that, but that's pretty much the nuts of it.
I do think it is a real experience to toggle back and forth between X, formerly Twitter, and Blue Sky, because it's just different people yelling at you, different people calling you names. And so
I am getting called a faggot a lot more on text than I think
saw
I would
that.
be
I
on
went and
Blue
read
Sky.
the comments under your thing, and they were unkind. And I just want to tell you, you're a beautiful man.
Thank you.
And you don't deserve that kind of treatment.
That's fine. I don't care.
I
would rather have people that I loathe yelling at me, though, than people that I would like but are making it kind of hard.
Yeah, why can't you just loathe everybody?
Something.
That's
Anyway,
my
sorry,
secret.
Sarah. As is my want, I stepped on. The floor is yours. I kind of wanted to hear what
So
you
Sarah,
think about
talk to me a little bit about this.
Actually, here's my overarching thought as I've watched this unfold. Besides being, it is the rage that people have around healthcare and insurance companies in particular that allow them to sort of say, because everybody's just sort of justifying it, right? It's like, well, how many people did he kill? How many deaths is he responsible for? And this is, as an intellectual exercise, turn this over in your head. And number one, anybody, I think, who is in a position where you make life or death choices, right? You could say this about a president. You could say it about somebody who runs lots of companies. But when the way that people are reacting to this and the way that it seems, so one of the, I guess it was on your video, Tim, people seem to think that you had suggested or bought into the trope that these were like left-wing folks. And I only watched half your video, so I didn't see you say that. I did not see you call these folks Democrats, but the comments were all about like, no, this is bipartisan. Like Ben Shapiro also railed against vigilante justice and I guess got like really sort of blown up by the Daily Wire listeners.
I'm sorry. So their claim, just to be clear, to understand, the claim of the commenters is that there's a bipartisan demand that healthcare CEOs be executed. That's a bipartisan. That's just what regular working class Americans are looking for right now.
People are not. There's a sort of the way that they're saying it is like that. People perceive it as glib, I think, to just sort of say he's a psychopath. Like this is just and now YouTube comments. I mean, this is not representative of.
Yeah, sure. I'm just trying to understand what the argument is.
Yeah. Well, I didn't go like so deep, but I caught. But they were almost universally negative toward the idea of calling this person psychotic, or it was kind of a, hey, you don't understand. And like lots of people are telling personal stories. The time that they got denied radiation for a double mastectomy follow-up. Like I just saw a lot of personal stories. Here's my thing. Seeing how people are talking about this, it feels like Democrats could have run on this issue. It feels like there was a real untapped well of like, no, not on hurting somebody, but on healthcare.
I hear you.
What?
Donald Trump won, and he doesn't even have a healthcare plan. It was literally a joke. It was a meme that people were like,
no, but
he has concepts of a healthcare plan. He has concepts of a plan.
No, I'm not saying he has a good plan.
So it's like if there's this bipartisan groundswell of outrage towards the healthcare system, we just had an election. I don't understand how that tracks with the victory of Donald Trump, who has no healthcare plan at all and no interest in helping people, and is probably going to cut Medicaid.
So I take that.
Sarah, I think you're right. Keep going.
But
please.
As an intellectual exercise, let me just ask you a question. What if this had happened before the election? Like a week before the election, this is a dominant news story. And Democrats, or 2 weeks, Democrats immediately pivot to talking about like health insurance as a key issue and differentiate on it. Now, obviously, it's probably not a clean thing. I was just kind of like as a mental exercise, because Republicans would have said they were seizing on this tragedy and it would have gotten politicized. And so I'm not sure how it would have played. But I will admit to being shocked by how many people are saying that this killing is justified. Now, obviously, I don't think it's justified, and I think it's horrific that people seem to think that. But the response of the way that people are talking about it is like, it's just like the potency of it is striking to me, where people seem to be willing to cast sort of right and wrong aside. Now, maybe it's just a function of everybody's gone crazy. And like now we are in a world where we're just wheels off. And it's open season on people that we think are bad.
Can I cut a little bit of it? I want to make a small distinction here, which I think is actually kind of important. Just objectively, there are people who are actually gleeful about the guy's murder. But the larger segment, I think, the larger piece of the pie are people who I would not say are gleeful or celebratory, but who look at it and say, yeah, I understand. Right? And that's different. That is different. They're not excusing it. They're not, right?
This guy was a rich kid. Are you kidding me? Really? There's not even any evidence he has denied anything. His stupid little manifesto, he's like, the American healthcare system sucks, and so I'm going to kill the guy that runs the biggest company. Like, his family owns healthcare. Like, this is, like, ridiculous. This is not a Robin Hood situation.
Agreed.
Yeah, I
agreed. I just wrote a whole thing about that.
I completely.
What I'm trying to say is,
saying
when
the
we're
people that are saying that, they're
people,
basing it on a fantasy in their own mind. Like, this is not a Sandra Bullock movie where a lady, got breast cancer and didn't, and the insurance company denied her, and she was poor and she almost died, and she miraculously lived, and then she killed the health insurance executive. I wouldn't be for that either. But that would, like, this fantasy story, sure, okay, that's not what this is.
I understand, but I'm just, again, trying to draw the line. Like, it isn't the case that everybody's being glib. There are a lot of people who are just looking at, like, well, I do understand the whole system sucks. But to Sarah's point, I think really this is one, I'm not going to say the future, but one possible future for Democrats is a world in which they find their own villain group to blame. And one very obvious, why not turn CEOs and oligarchs into what elites and immigrants are for Republican politicians?
So
I think there is a potential great deal of power. I'm not saying it's good, but whether or not that is a way to get a lot of votes, I think it could be.
And again, actually, because now listening to you say it back to me, I want to make sure that I don't get misunderstood here. I do not think they should have run against like evil healthcare CEOs right after one is assassinated. I think that would have been politically stupid.
Also not what I'm saying.
But I think that the ability to talk about the personal stories of healthcare, like the healthcare just like hellscape that a lot of people are in, I'm remarking more on the way that these reactions seem to reveal that might have been a thing sitting there when you say, like, with $1 billion, can you change the conversation to something different? And I think that talking about people and having this as a way to center people, center a concern that is so deep that they are willing to, whether it is actively be gleeful and or rationalize, justify what is a cold-blooded assassination of another human being. Like, I have been, but I also want to agree with Tim that, like, I don't want to rationalize anybody
I'm not
doing
rationalizing
this.
that. Look, but there is a difference between saying this is bad, and if I was on the jury, I would vote to convict, right? But I understand why people hate healthcare CEOs. Right. I mean, you can hold both of those.
Sure,
things
I
in your
understand
hand.
why people hate healthcare CEOs. Health insurance fucking sucks. All right, I hate health insurance. Everybody hates health insurance. People had way worse outcomes than me. Like, yeah, sure, insurance sucks. Insurance is annoying. I never had known anybody to get a good deal with insurance ever to be like, boy, I really love my car insurance, my home insurance after a hurricane or so. Yeah, insurance is terrible. People don't like it. My point is this: that there is this, like, I think, delusional notion out there that this idiot killing a healthcare CEO is going to lead to some kind of productive conversation, and that if the Democrats had only talked about this, like if Kamala had spent $1 billion talking about how health insurance is unfair and how if she gets in there, we're going to socialize healthcare. Like, you think that would have broken through? And
I don't think socializing healthcare. healthcare.
You can't promise to do something that's going to help other people because voters won't like that.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I just mean, like, what are these?
You have to demagogue.
No,
it has to be based around punishing the bad oligarchs. Okay, this is another show. We'll do another show on that.
I'm going to lose my mind over you with this. Like, they just need their own demagogue stuff. It is
I'm not
so
saying that.
bad.
I'm saying that I think that could be electorally efficacious. I'm not putting any value judgments on it. I'm not saying shouldn't. I'm saying that I think that is one possible pathway to win a lot of votes.
Yeah.
That's all. That's either right or wrong. Don't tell me it's morally good or bad. It's either correct or incorrect. All right, guys. Good show. Super long show. Thanks a lot. We'll be back one more show before the big Christmas holiday. The war on Christmas is over. It's been won again, so we can say it. We can say Merry Christmas again.
Merry Christmas, one and all. Especially to Kim Guilfoyle.
Is this our last show before Christmas?
No, one more.
Okay. Actually, I have another housekeeping announcement.
Great.
Oh, okay.
To JVL's...
The best is yet to come!
To JVL's great, enduring chagrin, anger, whatever, Tim and I are going to debate a couple of the Reason folks at a show in D.C. called what's the theater?
Howard Theater.
The Howard Theater.
Howard Theater.
And what I just learned today that I didn't know, this has like been one of those things. I was like, yeah, sure. And then I was annoyed. I said yes because it's like I realized it's next week, and who has time? It's the holidays. I have Christmas shopping to do. But they do a vote at the end. It's a debate between Nick Gillespie and Matt Welsh, who is not Matt Walsh, I found out today as well. And so we're going to go debate these libertarians, Tim and I, over the topic is you don't have to pick a side. It's resolved. You don't have to pick a side in politics. And so I'm sure they're going to mount a vigorous defense of writing in Edmund Burke or whatever. But the people vote Hayek.
On Mises.
Road to Serfdom.
Ooh, Mises.
They do a vote at the end where apparently you have to pick a side because you have to pick who won the debate.
Don't waste all your material right now.
You just won this fucking thing.
Sorry. You're right. But we need you guys there. We need you guys there to vote. Otherwise, it's going to be a bunch of like Cato interns trying to like pwn Tim and I. So show up and vote for us, fam. Get out there, Bulwark listeners. We need you. I'm
not sure what kind of voting machines they're using, etc. So I'm not sure that I'll accept the results, but I would like for
We'll
people
just,
to come and support
we'll
us.
accept the results if the vote is fair.
Yeah.
We will.
Good luck, America.